You're going to talk about this Google. What Google thing were you at? Some kind of conference or something?
Yeah, I'll talk all about it here in a second. So I'm Matt Storms. Thanks for joining us today. This is Helpdesk Hangouts. Whatever one this is, 106. Awesome. So thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Storms. I am a Google TC. I would strongly encourage all of you to come to the Google forums and start participating. That way you can become a Google TC. And you get to hang out with Googlers like I did for the last 2 days. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of the stuff I can't talk about because it's behind an NDA that I don't want to get in trouble for. So, yeah, lots of good stuff. So anyways, let's go ahead and do introductions. I'll call you out first name first, and we'll just introduce yourselves as you go along. If you have a camera, please turn that on. If you have a mic, awesome. If you don't have a mic, it's not really going to be easy to participate in the Hangout where you have to talk. So please strongly suggest you get that. All right, so Barry.
I'm Barry Schwartz. I am not Matt Storms. I know what Matt told me. He basically told me, and I'll tell everybody so you get in trouble, they're going to run a Penguin refresh today.
Nope.
No. We're live. You can't say no.
Danny. Danny, do you have a mic?
I could talk for Danny.
Which Danny is this?
Danny.
Yeah.
All right, Josh.
Hold on. Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh Bashinsky. I'm an SEO and ethicist with 14 years experience, and I am not Matt Storms either.
Kevin.
I am Kevin Mullett with Cirrus ABS. We do Market Snare, which is a company that does local SEO for companies that have tens to thousands of locations. Been doing SEO for, I don't know, 15, 16 years or so, and I, too, am not Matt Storms.
And Kevin, back in the day, did you have a mullet?
I can neither confirm nor deny any existence of aforementioned mullet.
Okay. Just had to ask. Sam. You have a mic, Sam? All right, we're going to move on. William.
William Rock, just a geek on the web. And
Yeah.
I've got a mullet kind of going.
Wissam.
Wissam Dandan, SEO consultant from Daytona.
All right. Baruch, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Baruch Levonsky from Toronto, owner of Rank Secure.
All right. And Dawn, go ahead and introduce yourself. You have to unmute yourself.
Me?
Yep.
Oh, you broke up. Okay, I'm Don Helber from Victoria from Inbound Marketing Group.
All right. Outstanding. So, so there's been a little bit of news. We didn't hold this last week. My kid had an issue. I had to go to the doctor, so sorry about that. We didn't really talk about anything last week or for the last 2 weeks, so we can dive and cover a bunch of that stuff. I'll tell you where I was at for the last 2 days. I was at a Google TC meeting talking about Gmail and Chromecast and Chrome and search and maps and all kinds of stuff, which was a really good learning lesson. A lot of bugs were brought up, a lot of things like that. A lot of stuff I can't talk about is behind NDA. I will give a plug for something that I talked with William about last night. It's a really interesting thing. William might even have a better understanding of it than I do. So, William, would you mind talking about that for a minute?
Let's have you start it out, and then I'll jump in after. How about that?
All right. So basically what it is it's called Universal Second Factor. And basically, if you remember, if you have second factor authentication on your Gmail, how many of us have that we actually use that? Josh doesn't. Don doesn't. Baruch does. Okay, Baruch. Okay.
It's for logging to the account, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it calls me, texts me. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, and it prevents someone from getting their account hacked.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that kind of summarizes what two-factor is. Second factor authentication, 2UF, is like the next level up. So I'm going to let the security, one of the guys who plays with a lot with the security and stuff that's hanging out in this Hangout, talk about that for a minute. So that way I don't get in trouble.
No, you're fine, Matt. I think what's important to know about the protocols and dual authentication that they're doing has been adopted, and it's basically been in a 5-year plan from Google. I think announced last year when they decided to go into the main corporation. It's an actual company or an organization that other companies are adopting into and teaching the authentication, multiple pieces from your phone devices to just having one login for just about everything. I think that's kind of the direction that the web is headed for because of all the different security aspects of an individual password. Because all the times you see a password, you can snip that from an email, you can get that from being in a coffee shop and somebody snipped the Wi-Fi connection. Passwords are easy to get. And so when passwords are collected, it goes out to a master database. That's used by spam bots to go and try to penetrate that. And when they find a hole, they continue to try to get into it even further. So it's just another layer of protection that you guys all know. I've been preaching about security for the last few weeks, but I've been in this stuff since really 1998. When I was certified for network administration, all that stuff. So coming to this far with this type of authentication, I think is incredible. I know that Visa they've adopted it, and there's 2 other credit card manufacturers that have adopted it as well. So we're going to see how well they do. Being that I used to work in the credit card processing space, and we see that kind of problem with money. We see those in the simple hacks that we had with Home Depot, for example. They didn't have any protection on their client cards. So fraud protection wasn't there, but I think with what's happened recently in security, we're going to see a lot more companies adapting to things like this.
Right. So that's kind of I know it's not really about SEO, but I just wanted to make that was something that was talked about that was really quite interesting. Talked about a lot about policy and government. Security initiatives on that aspect as well. It was interesting to go through all the different types of find out more information about Chromecast. So a lot of really good stuff that I found out, and some really good feedback on things. So let's talk about some stuff that we've all seen over the course of the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to go last. So why don't we go, I'll call you out by name, and we're just going to go right to left. Pick out something you saw in SEO that either on your own site or some news. I know news is really easy, so we're going to go last with Barry to make him really try to find an article that's not easy to find. And yeah, I mean, you can talk about SEO issues or even design. We're going to talk about a little bit about design at about halfway through, and go through some stuff for there. So. With Sam, what have you seen in the last week or 2 weeks that piqued your eye as far as SEO, and what did you learn from it, and are you implementing it or are you using it?
I mean, just recently, probably is included through news, so I'll probably wait till Barry announces it. Today's news about the search box, and that's all I did.
You already beat him out. Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, the thing is, there's the PFR, Google announced that now you can link the search box in Google search result to your actual site search, and you can use that through the schema actions. And I went ahead and checked the documentation. I applied it on one of my 2 of our clients. So we'll see how it goes.
Now, what I found interesting about that was apparently they'll give you search suggests for your own personal site.
That's pretty cool too.
I thought that was very interesting. So obviously that means that if that is separate from the regular search suggest, that they know what your site is about, and they're like, here's the best topics on this site. This is what you should be looking for here. I thought that was very interesting.
And the other thing, I see like huge benefit to us as webmasters is the data of, when you have a huge amount of navigational queries like, brand names, this kind of dissect into more important data, internal data for the, for the user or, the site or webmaster or the company, whatever.
Now, do you think they're going to get that search suggestions from query data or from pages, or both?
I think from all. I don't know, because you can actually, I mean, they have data and they understand the entity, that this entity is actually the brand name, and whatever next to it, they can kind of relate this is the other stuff in relationship with that brand, whatever it is. They can add that. They can pull data from out of the pages.
With something a little bit further, like a car parts site, for example, you could be looking for a specific model and year, right? And then it basically brings up suggestions for that model, that all the different sub navigation that you would actually not have to search for normally. It just brings the surface for you and makes it quicker for you to find it.
I mean, I don't know if they actually use the navigational searches, where not navigational search. I mean navigational. The navigation, the subcategories, and the subcategories, and they can understand the site structure. Hence, they can enrich that using. I don't know how it actually works, but we'll see. I mean, I never see it in the wild to actually test it from where the information they're getting it, but we'll see.
I think it's somewhere in basically. I mean, they're crawling an entire website. They know all the different layers, they know all the hierarchy. And they know what pages are clicked on, what they're actually bounced on. All that information is already stored into Webmaster Tools and Google Analytics, let alone, now the new Vault. So it's basically the old stuff anyways.
Well, we can say, let's get real. Are little tiny sites going to do this? Why would they, right? I mean, you're going to see bigger sites that are doing this. I mean, if you're managing a site that only sells 5 products, why would you? And yes, Barry, do you like the hat?
It's a sick hat. That's a sick hat.
Barry doesn't like my hat. I like it.
I love it.
I think it's pretty baller.
I have to tend to agree. I don't think that smaller sites are going to be able to do it, mainly because they don't really have the manpower to get it done in-house. And they're usually using some, guy who's basically overseas and, maybe using a U.S. independent third party that's outsourcing it. So they won't have the funding for it, nor the technical expertise to do it. But one of I think the nice things about the search box is that it is powered, of course, by a lot of schema data. And, you want to talk about news, of course, the biggest news was that authorship being removed completely, from search. So schema data is the most important thing I think that we need to be looking at these days, along with Freebase and, of course, Knowledge Vault, which is kind of the automated version of Freebase. And by the way, hi, William. Hi, Barry.
Hey guys.
Nice to meet all you guys.
Yeah, totally. To add to that, though, when you start looking at some smaller sites, the way I think about the smaller sites, say for example, like a small pizza joint. They're not going to have enough time or effort. They're running their entire business, and they're basically putting out coupons and this and that, but they don't realize what they have available to them. However, I think the way that Google's getting smarter in its AI intelligence, I mean, it's basically becoming it's a new beast that understands the web quickly. And it's already found all that, of course, historical information without tagging. So throughout the whole time, I've seen sites that haven't been tagged still actually get that type of data. So I'm looking forward to the day that small businesses, even though they couldn't eventually do that because they didn't have the manpower, I would say, okay, how does Google solve that issue for those type of companies? They're still a small company, but they're still a company.
So real quick, so Don, would you introduce yourself real fast for people who are watching? No, sorry.
Ben?
Ben,
All good. Ben Fisher with Steady Demand. We do Google Plus page management, HOA, basically for businesses. And yeah, we're Google Plus people.
And Sash, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sash Mayer. I'm a traveler in SEO disaster recovery. I'm the guy who goes all over the place and fixes companies' online performance with Google after
Sash, where you
SEOs
at
are finished ruining them. What's that?
Where are you at this week?
At the moment, I'm in Cody, Wyoming, although that could change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Sash and I were the guys who came up with this idea together. So there was a couple other people, but they've kind of abandoned it. And Sash and I have stuck with it. All right, so we're talking about, basically, guys, we're talking about things that we've seen in the last 2 weeks. We didn't host this last week. And, you know, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel to see the latest videos. Strongly suggest you subscribe. We don't monetize them. We don't make any money off of them. That's not what I really care about. So, Wassam talked about some. All right, William, keep it short. What do you got?
All right, the recent thing that I've got is that I'm studying right now. I talked to you about this last night, but I think that there's a possible hack on WordPress.com on the hosted sites, not your normal hosted your own site, but actually on domain.wordpress.com. The reason why I say that is I've had over 6 different flags from different flagging companies. I scan all my sites, but I only scan the blogs with a different tool, looking for vulnerabilities. And right now that we're looking at an XSS injection attack on their main server. So that's short. Looking at, I'll have more news later.
Send some information over to the WordPress team. I bet they'd love to hear from you.
I'm sure they will, but I got to figure it out first before I report it to them.
There you go.
I did put a post out there on my wall that has the screenshots and what it looks like from 6scan. I use 6scan for most of the WordPress hosted stuff because it finds things faster than most of the other tools like Security. Security is a great tool, but yeah.
Awesome. All right, so going up next to Kevin. Kevin, what have you seen in the last 2 weeks?
Other than what's already been discussed, Goodser partnered with YP. So they're going to get some enhanced data for the local SEO level. That could provide. What's that?
Goodser, the data feed did?
Yeah. Yep. So they partnered with YP, and so they're going to be getting a lot of enhanced data, which, you know, getting local companies to provide enhanced data is always a difficult thing, so I want to watch that and see how that partnership starts to bear fruit.
I used to work with a company that pulled a lot of data from Goodser, and then when Goodser had their eBay workaround, then we lost all of Goodser's data. So I had to go with another data provider. Goodser's got some good stuff, some good data from them.
Yeah, so it should be really interesting to see how that augments the data from the in the local search.
Yeah. I think I mean it's all about trying to understand what the user wants at the lowest level. We all know that, and if you've never heard of Goodser, they're a good platform. They get a lot of data. All right, Josh, what do you got?
This week, our clients came to me with payday loans issues. They had there's 2 versions of payday loans, right? There's the one that was released last year around June, and this year, and they had some Panda problems, payday loans problems. So I find it interesting working on that. There's not a lot of information about payday loans. Everyone focuses on Panda and Penguin, but there's not a lot of information out there on payday loans and exactly how it works and what you need to do to clean it up. Is it a linking algorithm? Is it an on-site spam algorithm? Is it a quality algorithm? Right? No one really knows, and John Mueller has only mentioned the most briefest of things about it. So luckily, I know lots of stuff about everything, so I can fix it. But
I'm not even going to comment on the I know a lot of stuff about everything. I want to. All
You want
right.
me to elaborate on that? I can elaborate on that, baby. I could go on for hours and hours.
I know, and that's not what we want to do. Thank you for that. We'll come back. All right, Sash, what have you seen the last couple weeks?
Well, actually, last couple of weeks, not a whole lot. This morning, however, something really, really cool. They've rolled out, well, you guys have already mentioned it. I appreciate it. I'm kind of late. But they've rolled out a site link search box this morning.
Wissam brought that up.
Okay, well, in that case, you know, apart from glorious scenery here in Wyoming and the fact that they're a little bit technologically behind, I haven't got much.
All right. Don.
Just what I mentioned in the chat there about.
Well,
I was
people
working
who are
on it.
watching, they can't read the chat, so.
Oh, okay.
And
No, I was just talking about an experience with a site that it's not as easy as a lot of people are saying to switch over to SEL. There's a lot of blog posts out there that say, oh, it's as easy as flicking a switch, but there's a lot on that checklist of stuff to get straight. And one of the things is obviously you got to upload your disavow. If you have a disavow existing on your www domain, when you do the transfer to SSL to HTTPS, you got to re-upload your disavow file. Google's not going to tell you to do that. We all know that, but most end users, they don't know these things. So there's a lot of.
That's a good pro tip right there. You know, I didn't even think about that until right now. I haven't had to do a disavow in a long time. Actually, full disclosure, I just signed a new contract to work with a new client, and I've got to do a lot of, and they begged me long enough that I finally said, okay, I'll work with them, and I get to do, I have to remove roughly about 5,000 links. Not too many, but they made some mistakes of where they bought links.
Links or root domains?
Links at the root domain level.
5,000. Wow, that's a few.
It's just a few. Just a tad bit. So yeah, so I got to remove them at the root level, and
got a question for you. I doubt this came up at your meeting, but has anybody heard anything more on when you remember when Google told everybody to make this switch?
Well, they didn't tell us to make it. They just said you'll get a ranking or it's part of a ranking factor.
Yeah, which turned out to be a crock, but nonetheless, what?
Not at all. I'm seeing about 8 to 10%.
You're seeing that?
It's only supposed to affect 1%.
I think you and Barry need to get together then, because Search Engine Land has got all kinds of stuff on there that's talking about no effect. But hey, nonetheless, I want to ask this question. Did they talk about at your TC meeting there? Did they talk about making the site URL change inside of Webmaster Tools to finally start working with HTTPS?
No, that was not even brought up. Most of the people there were Gmail and Maps, and I was the only SEO in the room.
Oh wow!
So
that must have really blown.
It kind of did, but I learned a lot about Maps, and I learned a lot about Chromecast and Gmail.
That's cool. That's very cool.
I have a feeling, Sash, you're going to the Chicago meetup, right?
There's going to be a bunch of Webmaster guys there, and they've announced that there's some very Webmaster specific content coming up. Also, Eric Kwan from the Webmaster Trends team is going to be there, so that should be fun.
Oh, I'm jealous. Well, maybe you'll walk away with your fancy hat like I got.
Hey Matt, you talked about Chrome.
I've already got the Google Thinks I'm Awesome T-shirt. I don't need no fancy hats.
Yeah, no, we did talk about Google Chrome as well. So, okay, so let's move over to Ben.
All right. So since you guys are all talking about SSL, I'll talk about an experience I had with one of my clients recently. So they made the switch to SSL. One of the reasons we're not able to find out if they've actually had a bump in the rankings or not is because they moved from Google Analytics straight over to Universal Analytics. They also moved to Tag Manager at the same time. It is such a mess. I mean, it basically looks like a tornado went through their website as far as stats goes. Everything is up, down, up, down. There's a lot of flat lines that are coming along with it. But this was all predicated by the change over to SSL. That's what happened basically ended up messing everything up completely. So And also from the social signal side, one of the things that I expected to happen was that by doing the 301 redirects is that actually social signals and +1s would actually flow through to HTTPS. In some cases they did, but in some cases they didn't. Even after giving it about 2 weeks worth of time just to kind of wait and see if the thousands would kind of catch up. So that was kind of interesting. And from a other news standpoint, actually, Barry, thanks for covering this the other day. I don't know if you guys all saw this or not, but hey, Hangouts are showing in search for big brands.
Ooh, I wonder if we can get Helpdesk Hangouts to show up for big brands.
Hey, Ben, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On that note that you were just talking about, for me, it's a concern, and I asked John Mueller in another Hangout. When he instructed.
Just
when we talked about the. What's that?
So just when you were getting to the question, when John instructed.
Yeah, he instructed me because the Webmaster tool site address change doesn't work. So he said that just do a site-wide 301 redirect. My concern on that is if you have other URLs that are already got 1 or 2 redirect chain, and you are now adding another one. I mean, I really didn't want to do this 301 redirect site-wide that he was recommending, but hey, it's John Mueller, right? But I still have a real problem stomaching that, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on, because Google didn't fix their Webmaster tools in the site address thing, we all have to do this stupid 301 redirect.
Yeah, so that's the big problem. One thing I didn't tell you guys back in the beginning when I introduced myself, I'm sorry, is I've been doing SEO since 1994. So before it was SEO in the first place. And I'm right there with you, Don. Is that I personally don't like multi 301 redirect chains whatsoever. I'd rather go with an entire site rewrite and just let it be recrawled. At the end of the day, yeah, that's a lot more painful, obviously. You can do some fancy footwork when you're working with Apache to get it down to at least 1 redirect. But multiple redirects, they just don't seem to work very well, and they're bad for the user experience too.
But you have to do multiple redirects if you do it at a page level. Not that I talked about that, but that's another thing to consider, right? If you're doing page level redirects, you're going to have a crap ton of them in your htaccess file, right?
Well, yeah, one advanced technique I used, this was about 5 years ago on a site that had over 200,000 pages, was we created a relational MySQL database that had the first chain, the originating URL, the second redirect, and then the third final destination. And then we just created basically a, what do you call it, not an algorithm, but we just created a script basically that said, oh, if you wanted actually this page, really you need to go to this page, and that's what we would show through Apache.
And it worked well as far as Google, Yahoo, and everybody else?
Oh, yeah, that site is a news website, and it still ranks wonderfully to this very day. It was just a very complex way of doing it.
I love complex. Pick your brains.
Sure.
All right. Baruch, what have you seen in the last 2 weeks that piqued your eyes? You either implemented it or on a site or something like that.
So I experienced the same thing as Barry. I mean, one of my pages when we upgraded to SSL, it started tanking, and then it kind of came back to itself. Everything was implemented correctly to the site. At the same time, I'm dealing with negative SEO on 3 of my clients' websites. It's just starting.
Sorry about that.
It's a very competitive area, so...
Josh said you can't talk about it, dude.
Josh is responsible for it.
Yeah.
Baruch, is it from Vietnam by chance?
I don't want to criticize any area. I'm not going to say where it's from.
Good man.
It's not fair.
That is a great way to handle that situation.
But I'm dealing with it correctly. Google Removal Tool is my best friend, and that's it.
Hey, just think of this. If people weren't doing dumb things, you wouldn't be employed.
That's it. But it's fun.
A
I
lot
love
to
it.
be said about that.
Used it. I mean, this year. I mean, my God, the Google Removal Tool I think is overworking.
People don't do dumb things. Most of us in here, I think, would not be employed. I think Barry would still be, but for the rest of us, I don't think we would be. I'm just saying. I think Barry would still have a job, but the rest of us would not be paid.
Agreed.
I would love to hear the argument against that.
Well,
He has
Barry
one of
and
the
I-
most popular blogs on the planet, so yeah, absolutely, Barry would still be quite safe.
Yeah.
but
Who's that
Barry-
guy, by the way?
Okay. So Barry, what have you seen in the last 2 weeks?
Two corrections. One is my site did not tank when I switched to HTTPS. There's absolutely no change on both sites that I changed.
No, I'm
Two-
saying for its name, for SE Roundtable, that when Twitter.
That nobody searches for SE Roundtable. So
No, I know, but I'm saying I experienced it in a lot of pages, like the same scenario.
Okay, but the traffic has not changed. Two is my blog really doesn't make me any money, or some money, but not enough. I wish I had cooler hats for doing my blogging, but I don't. And what cool things did I find? All right. John Mueller responded to somebody about his site disappearing from the search results because he used the 503 response code. And the 503 is obviously should be used when you're having temporary site issues. And Google's like, you serve that up, don't worry, we won't remove your site. Problem is, if you serve up that code for 2 months, Google's going to be like, all right, your site it probably is gone. We're going to go ahead and remove it from our index. And that's what happened. And the guy who served the 503 is basically calling out Google as being a liar and immoral and unethical for saying 503 should be used for temporary outages and not removing the site. So I found that to be interesting.
I find that to be idiotic, but maybe
I
that's
know, right? I don't want to say
Yeah,
that.
I look at a temporary site down is if you're taking it down for like 48 hours, that's temporary. It's like a
Yeah.
302 redirect. That should last no longer than what, 2 weeks? But we've all seen sites that have had 302 redirects for years.
2 weeks is too long.
I was speaking to a couple of the Google guys a while ago, and it's like temporary. That's like 6-7 days. You know, that's it. That's outside edge. Anything after they start rethinking the plan, you know.
Well, and I like the follow-up. I mean, John basically covered it by saying, look, people are going to blame us for having, poor quality if we're leaving something up that's not there for, what was it, 2 months?
So that was one cool technical thing. Another cool technical thing, I don't know if you want me, I could stop if you want, but...
No, we'll go for a little bit on this, and then we'll jump into material design. So while Barry's
Barry, I never tire of the sound of your voice, man. I don't.
So some of you guys
It's so.
about material design. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Well, now that you guys can't see me in the search results because they removed authorship, I'm sure you're dying to see me this, for this 1 hour during the Hangout. No, I'm sure.
Your face is my screen saver.
But we still get to see you in personalized results, Barry.
That's creepy, man.
Anyway, all right. So this is kind of old, but it's not. I mean, people are actually webmasters and SEOs are kind of noticing this now. So a few months ago, Google said, stop blocking your CSS and JavaScript and all this stuff because we're going to be rendering your final page, blah blah blah. And SEOs are actually noticing that Googlebot's not actually indexing or crawling the unrendered, unrendered page of your website. It's actually executing all the JavaScript and just crawling and processing that page, which was nice to see people picking up on that. And then it seems maybe that Google's domain clustering has possibly changed over the past couple of days in terms of how many of the same domain they show for a single search result. And webmasters and SEOs are constantly bickering about, Yelp showing up too often or that site showing up too often for a single query. But now they're talking about maybe that possibly changing, and Google has changed this several times since I've been covering search. They haven't confirmed it, but there's definitely a lot of webmasters noticing that. So those are probably the three more technical things on the SEO front that I noticed.
Yellow Pages as well, and Yelp.
And let me ask this other question of Barry. Barry, how's Mr. Matt Cutts' vacation going?
I think he's near Josh right now, right?
Hold on, there's a bet here. There's a bet going on, by the way.
Vancouver. Vancouver is just a short ferry ride from where I live, and I tweeted him. I said, Matt, we could have discussed ethics if you told me you were here. We could have debated some ethics, but for some reason, he didn't tweet me that he was here. I don't know why. He didn't tweet me that he was in Vancouver.
I know why. Ask me.
I could have bought him a beer, a Canadian, a real beer, not an American beer.
Wasn't the last time he just did the ice bucket challenge? That was it, right?
Anyways, who cares about stalking people? So let's talk about material design for a little bit. Have any of you, that came out of Google I/O, okay? Have any of you actually started to implement any of those principles in your design for any of your sites?
Starting to on a couple of forthcoming projects, but not on anything existing.
So I'm working on it on one.
Slower?
Say that again, Josh.
Can you say it again, Matt? Slower? Implement what?
Sure. It's material design. Material design. It was talked about at Google I/O. Basically, it is a really sexy design aspect.
Sexy.
The users will be able to see things in a newer way. It'll have different layers with shadows, and it'll pop more. And so I've actually been working on that, and with UI changes, I'm working on a project for myself. All of which
That's where I'm.
All of which in a few months, all of you hopefully will be beta testers, and yeah, so you can go with that. So it's material design is an awesome thing, but I've learned some serious issues with it that, man, you really got to know some good CSS. Like, I'm getting a crash course and getting way better in coding CSS than anything else. Yeah, Sash is kind of smiling about that. Sash, when
I first got into CSS a few years ago, I went, yeah, it's all right. I'll just use, this tool and that. Nah, screw that. You have to learn that shit from the ground up to do it properly, and that can be painful.
It is. Would you mind sharing any of your mistakes that you've learned with material design?
At this point in time, I'm only just starting, so fingers crossed I haven't made any major mistakes yet, but then again, I'm a week into this project, so, stay tuned in the next couple of weeks for me to tear my hair out and share all the stupid things I've done.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that last 5 seconds, I read about material design, and now I know everything about it.
Outstanding. It's actually, when you look at the web page of it, and you pull it up, you're like, oh, okay. I mean, it's just basically a layout and design animation style. It just makes it look prettier.
This is going to be
Flash. Didn't we already have that?
Yes, we did.
This is a weird retro thing. Like, first, late 90s, the web was like a brochure, and then it got all flashified, and there was moving elements all over the place and all these different web pages. And then Google said they don't like Flash, or it didn't work on iPhone or something, so Flash completely went away. And now Google is going to bring this new thing called animation to the web. Like, does this seem weird to anybody else?
Yeah, this is more about hinting, though, Josh. It's not like Flash, which was, I mean, I designed in Flash for several years for when the clients were demanding it and so forth, and anyway, I don't even want to go back to that age. But anyway, this is more about hinting and about part of material design is making things cohesive across multiple devices. So really, this is an extension of what everybody is yip-yapping about with responsive web design. It's a kind of an augmentation that includes layering and hinting to show what level you're on, and quite frankly, more of it is going to pertain to mobile devices than it is necessarily desktops, although I'm sure people will figure out a way to utilize some of that as well. As you hover over something, it comes to focus and that kind of thing.
Well, everything I do is overt and obvious.
Okay.
Anything subtle will be lost on me.
Yeah.
I mean, material design makes sense. I mean, just from the brief 5-minute overview I just took of the page, I mean, it just makes total sense. Unifying the user experience, like you said, across mobile and desktop and tablet devices. They want the user experience to be perfect across everyone, extremely consistent.
That's
You
it.
know, the only concern, and I mean, again, having only 5 minutes of experience with looking and reading it, is my only concern or thought about it would be is like, okay, well, now how do you deal with images? So e-commerce sites, which are very image heavy, or somebody, you know, I mean, it's not using vector images. I mean, yeah, pings can stretch definitely, but you know, if you've got an image heavy site, how's it going to affect load time if you're taking into consideration all these different sizes?
Yeah, I mean, there's definite issues with it. I mean, you've got to be, you know, it's basically I'm not even calling it material design with the designers that I'm working with. I'm calling it responsive 2.0.
Oh my gosh, I so want to reach through the screen and hurt you right now.
No, I'll make it easier. I'll buy you the ticket.
we no longer numerize things such as that, Matt. I'll get you another memo. So, and by the way, if you could just go ahead and come in on Saturday as well, that'd be great.
That's annoying 2.0.
Here's the thing. I really like this. I know a lot of people are going to be against it for a few years. They're going to see Google's going to shift over all their platforms to it. It's just because Google's sponsoring it, Google's the backer of it, so they're going to push all of their products onto it. You can kind of start to see a little bit of that with Google+. They're doing a little bit of material design here and there with it. You can see it there. You're going to start to see it with more platforms. It's just a matter of time. And so,
yeah, but Matt, here's the thing is when I didn't mention this, but part of what I have been doing since the late '90s has been design. So I have designed over 350 sites that have been deployed and not for my church. So the problem that you're going to have with this is the material design is really an extension, like you said, of responsive web design and making things consistent. What you're going to have a hard time with is that web developers, designers specifically, are not going to want to adopt what somebody else wants them to adopt. Ad hoc. The thing that makes responsive web design work is because other people can still put their own flair into it. And the material design may have elements pulled in, like you're saying with responsive, but people aren't going to try and mimic, or at least not the great majority of them, aren't going to try and mimic what Google is doing because it's going to be Google's thing. The other part that's going to happen is you're going to have continued research on it from a conversion standpoint. So all of these people that really love these super long pages, the endless scroll, infinite scroll pages, we've done a few of them for test beds, and quite frankly, multiples of them, we put tracking on it to see how far down the page people are going, and they're not going down the page very far despite trying various things. So the key is just to try and get them to the information they want as quickly as possible, not to just go to some specific design element that we like. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
I worked on a massive project about infinite scroll websites, and you could scroll 10 pages and then it would finally stop out. So, I mean, I know the challenges. I'm actually speaking on Infinite Scroll SMX East here, and Infinite Scroll can be a pain, especially for SEO. It can kill you.
Well, and to your point, it's just like responsive web design, and we think we talked about this last week. The problem is it's not whether you do responsive web design or whether you do a typical design. It's whether or not you're going to make the things user friendly and good UI and user experience for the persons coming in, so that they'll convert into business. And Google will figure out how to rank all of it. It's not going to exclude good quality content because it's not on responsive web design, but or infinite scroll.
Yeah. And the thing is, will companies do this? Will they switch to material design, layout, and things like that? I don't see it. No, it's not going to happen. Not every designer out there is going to jump on board with this, and Google knows that. But hell, we still have designers out there that are still designing stuff with moving backgrounds.
Just to go back to what Kevin said, Google does not always figure out what to do. They didn't figure out Flash. They tried to. They didn't figure it out. So.
Well, they could figure out part of Flash. To be fair, they could when a developer that knew their stuff, knew how to develop the Flash correctly, they could figure out parts of what was going on. What they can't do, or what they couldn't do back then, was when you actually developed the Flash in such a way that it was a giant image and that all of your text was trapped inside the SWF instead of being visible. They obviously couldn't. They could not read into that. So there was, there were some technical limitations to what they could crawl in that, just as there were, there formerly was with JavaScript.
Well, yeah, but they figured out JavaScript.
But
and if Steve Jobs wouldn't have killed Flash,
he never killed it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever. Steve Jobs didn't kill it.
There's the video I can send you right now. Okay.
No, we're not doing videos. No, we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on.
Okay.
So we can take the debate offline. Take it to Google Plus. Take it to Twitter. I'll even take it to LinkedIn if you want. I don't care.
It's all about money.
Good plan. Let's take it to LinkedIn.
Yeah,
if they were friends, it would work. That's all I'm trying to say. If they were friends, it would work. If him and Adobe were friends, it would work.
All right. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone or shut anybody down. I'm just saying let's move on to the next thing. So, so there was a lot of stuff. Say that again.
Your hat.
Oh no! I
there for a second. I thought I'd throw something in.
Oh, no. So I just don't want to feel. I'm not trying to shut anybody down. I just sometimes feel that we get bogged down on certain topics. I like to keep us going along and keep moving along. Okay. So so what I'd like to talk about last today for a little bit is understanding how, because a lot of us in here are contractors, okay, or we own our own business, like Wissam. He has his own firm and things like that. And to understand how, and I know everybody does it a little bit differently, and not everyone's going to go into great detail on this, but let's understand how you guys do your communications with your clients, things like that. Because I think that even though we talk about the nuts and bolts of SEO, we don't talk about the human factor and how we work with our clients, how we interact, how we're talking with them, and how we're working with them to help educate them. So what I would love to know is on the education aspect of how you guys go around and help to educate your clients, because they're going to leave you. They're not going to stay with you until the day you die. They're going to go elsewhere. Sash's clients stay with him until he dies. But that's it. He's the only one. My clients usually leave me after, I do 3-month or 6-month contracts and then they're gone, okay? So I would like to talk about education because I think that's important and teaching your clients best practices. So Ben is shaking his head like a madman over here. So Ben, I would love for you to go first.
Oh, how long do you want me to go on this?
Let's go 2 minutes.
As long as you give me some stuff.
2 minutes. Okay, all right. So I'm going to just take this back to the web hosting industry. So for the hosting industry for about 10 years, I was the SEO internet marketing consultant for pretty much any major brand that you can think of off the top of your head. They were the hardest vertical to work with because they all wanted the keyword web hosting or website hosting, which, by the way, people in the hosting industry were searching for, not actually clients. But there was a ton of education that had to be done there. So what I did was I said, okay, you know what? You understand, you respect me, you hired me, you're paying me to help you with your SEO and give you advice. But the way that I handled any kind of contradictory questions that they would have, where they would basically state like, well, buying links is bad. How do you know? I would either do experiments on my own. I usually have about 10 running experiments at any given time. But also what I would really do, and Barry, you're going to love this, is I reference people like SEO Roundtable, Search Engine Watch, Search Engine Land, Webmaster World, and utilize those and basically look for the common thread between them to basically validate what I was saying and just back it up. And then, of course, really, I mean, if it comes down to it, you need to explain the nuts and bolts, but you need to explain it at the 30,000-foot level and then try to relate it back to their business, basically. Anyway, that's all I got on that.
No, that's awesome. Thanks, Sash. I think you were shaking your head to go next.
Shaking my head. Anyway, basically, what I tend to, I mean, to answer awkward questions, I normally have a ready reference from somebody at Google. I'm in a fortunate position to be able to just hit people up with questions and site answers. But on the whole, one of the reasons why, as Matt puts it, customers stay with me until I die is because I tend to actually put it all together so the customer can pretty much take care of things themselves, and I'm just in there at the sidelines as a consultant. So I basically my working week is split, or rather my working week for clients is split sort of 50-50 on the disaster recovery aspect, where I just kind of take apart Google's manual actions, and the rest is consultancy, question answering, doing Hangouts, making tutorial videos for affiliate programs, because a couple of my clients have really in the past, but before they reached me, stepped in a big time with their affiliate networks. So I'm there consistently making videos to actually just inform the affiliates of the do's and don'ts. And on the whole, it's just, porn videos, Barry, that's it, exactly. But yeah, I found that making videos and then having them available for the, in some cases, developers and whatnot, is really a good way to handle things.
Yeah, I do a lot of videos. I'll send letters out usually on Wednesdays. I send it out to clients and even past clients, and I'll send them a message and say, hey, it's just stuff I've seen in the last week and stuff like that, and just say, here's some information. It's good to read, some good blog posts. Here's some discussion, and here's some of my thoughts on it. And I send it out to them, and it's impressive, like how many clients have come back to me because of that.
Yeah, that's it, and it's really that does. And I mean, really, if I don't know, checked this in a while. It used to be that if you go to YouTube and you look on YouTube for Google Webmaster guidelines, I'm there at the top, but that may have slipped by now.
Probably have. All right, and let's get a perspective from somebody at a firm. So I know Kevin. I think you're at a firm, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with Kevin, and then we'll go with Sam last. So how do you do a client education?
So we used to do more one-off work before we moved into the where we were doing a lot of vertical stuff. We still do some of that. At one point in time, it was pretty hectic because we had 32 active projects that I was running, and so there was a lot of repeat questions that would come in. And so I'll shoot a couple of things at you, kind of shotgun style. I started to keep a when I would respond to one person's question in an email, I would then proactively add that answer, make it unpersonalized in a separate folder, and then that would go out in a newsletter, and it would get disseminated to the rest of them, because I knew if one of those was asking the question, the other ones were going to as well. The other thing we did is what you were talking about is we would use like Jing or Camtasia or Screener. Camtasia is my favorite, and a lot of times I could make a screen capture that would explain a concept more thoroughly and quicker than actually typing it out in into a long email that explains it. And then the other thing that we were really big on is we would do free seminars. We would just invite our clients. We would pick. As a matter of fact, we used to have a rotation. We would do what we referred to as net-centered marketing, which was the concept of making your offline and your online marketing work together. We would do SEO, we would do social media, and we would do analytics. And those were in a constant cycle. So every month we would be doing one of those four, and we would just rotate through that through the year. And we would invite the public in as well. So we had our clients sitting right there along with the public, and occasionally we had a competitor or two that would come in as well. And the way that, and I will tell you that we were very specific in how we did those seminars. I would normally run the seminars, and I would overburden them on the slides. I would actually just give them information that they would leave thinking, well, why in the world would I even try to do this? I can't even remember what he was talking about on the third slide. And we got a ton of work out of that.
Wassam,
What was the question?
how do you educate your clients? I know you have a lot of overseas clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think due to that, I don't actually spend a lot of time on educating them, but because it takes so much time dealing with big clients that have dev queues, and any improvement it takes probably any improvement to the website it takes about 2 to 3 weeks. So I focus more on making shit done, making shit actually send them the task. This is how you do. This is the right implementation of specific technical issues. Then we actually schedule once or twice a year to actually go to their in-house teams and train their dev, train their content team, train the social team, and also whoever is with contact with us from an SEO standpoint.
All right. Well, cool. Let's see. One last thing I was going to say is there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, there's just always trying to educate your clients. Even if they're not your client, just having them do the right thing, a tidbit, is just always a good to do, I think, if you can be that knowledge source, because they'll come back to you. And I know a lot of us do education all day long. It feels like that's all I do. I know some of us here, I know like William wants to get into more education. I know Josh does a lot of education. I know we all do it. And Barry, I know you do education, and we all read your blog. It's all we care about. So with that being said, it's all a matter of perspective and getting your clients to understand. I noticed one of my past clients, for some reason, they redesigned their website. They did a change on it, and I still have access to their analytics and Webmaster tools, and I saw that their traffic just dropped through the floor. So I sent an email. I said, hey, not sure what you're doing here. I noticed you changed some stuff around, and you tanked your website. I don't know what you were thinking, but you're hurting yourself. Come to find out, they hired a new developer who told them he knew SEO.
I'll tell you one thing that I've learned about education over the years is the more value that you can prove, the less education you actually have to provide. So if what you're doing is working, then you don't have to educate as much. If what you're doing is not working, there's your problem.
That's true to a point. I will go along with that to a point, right up until the time that they get just the right email that says that they could be ranking #1 guaranteed for $59.99 a month, and suddenly they will want to do that, although they wouldn't want to pay you to do that very same thing.
You know how I thought that up? I would always set expectations in the beginning with customers when I was doing SEO actively and say, hey, you're going to receive these kinds of emails. By the way, they're coming from overseas. If somebody says they can guarantee you #1 for $59, they're selling you a river.
Yeah. I wish the CEO wasn't in there. Yeah.
with that, folks, it is the weekend, so to speak. So get away from your computers, go outside, go for a walk, go for a hike, play with your dog or cat, or do whatever you're going to do. Get away from the computer and go and enjoy the weekend. Sash, I know you're up in Cody, Wyoming, so go take lots of photos. And,
I'll be heading to the Tetons and Yellowstone over the weekend. Don't worry about that.
And if any of you really want to have a good time here in the U.S., go buy your Moto 360 watch. And I think that came on available today. I'll be getting mine.
Mine's waiting for me.
Because I went to I.O. Score. So, with that being said, yes, I am very punctual on ending this right on time. We're already a minute over. So I will let you guys go. And if you want this type of banner, it says this, like Don just said, he wants that banner, become a Google TC, and you might be able to get it. That's what they sent it to me because I am that. I am a Google TC. Strongly suggest all of you come to the forums to participate. Josh, you have anything you want to say?
I prefer the bones of Matt Cutts. These are Matt Cutts' bones right here. I prefer that.
Well, you're going to put them in your altar? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
All right.
Pray to them every night.
Thanks, Matt.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your week.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.